There are some big changes coming for Cymanti, Polaris, Imo, and many other tribes. Today, we'll take a look at the latest Polytopia beta. We'll go beyond showing the planned update to give you insight from the pros on what this might mean for Polytopia strategy. Watch until the end to see how you can join the beta and try it out. Okay, let's learn about the Cymanti rework and all the changes in the latest beta. Let's start with the changes that affect all the tribes. And we'll list all these details from the changelog in the description. First is the embassy nerf. The more embassies you have, the more expensive they are for you to build in other capitals and for others to build in yours. The first embassy costs 4 stars and then goes up by 2 stars after the next one is built. So the second one costs 6 and the third costs 8 and so on. This increasing embassy cost means less return on investment in diplomacy. Next is the market nerf. In this beta, markets max out at level 6. That means the most you can get from a market is 6 stars and not 8. This is another reduction to sources of income in the late game. Forges got a buff. Forges can now be built on mountains and forests. Also, instead of 1 mine causing a forge to grow 1 level and 2 population, in the beta, each mine gives a forge 2 levels while still giving 2 population. You can see how much bigger they look. This means that forges are now more compatible with markets since having 2 mines next to a forge causes it to be level 4 instead of level 2, but it still gives 4 population. The one sad thing is that now there's no benefit to having a forge surrounded by 5 mines. Now let's look at 2 important tech tree changes. In the beta tech tree, you are able to research backwards. This means Vengir is able to get mining without needing to get climbing first, allowing them to make effective use of their 100% metal spawn rates inside city borders. This also lets Vengir deploy forges way earlier in the game. Another tech tree change is that in construction, the ability to burn a forest for farmland costs 3 stars instead of 5. This is a buff to Zibasi, who almost always gets construction, but we can also expect it to impact Imperius and Yadak, who often tech into farms. The last overarching change affects temples. This only really impacts single-player mode like Perfection and the weekly challenge. And in the beta, temples grow by 100 points per level instead of 50. This makes fully grown temples give more points than a monument. This change will definitely make early temples more important for those weekly challenge high scores. Okay, now let's talk about changes to individual tribes. Imo starts with philosophy and a mindbender instead of meditation and a warrior. This is a big buff for Imo, as their techs are just cheaper than any other tribe. Plus, you can still go for the Altar of Peace pretty early. Remember, you can research tech backwards now. So Imo can pick up meditation in the first turn if they want to forego getting a warrior. Next, Luxidoor's capital will always have 3 fruit in its borders, now guaranteeing the ability to upgrade it again with only that 1 tech. This means you can do a 2 warrior opening and upgrade your capital for 5 stars back on turn 2. Elyrion got hit hard in the beta, and Polytars now cost 3 stars. No more double Polytars on turn 0. This is a massive blow to Ellyrion's ability to expand quickly in the early game, though their titanic late game economy is unaffected because it doesn't impact sanctuaries. Another change is how many stars tribes start with. Up until this beta, what made each normal tribe unique was their starting tech. That is the major reason why certain tribes are better than others. Tribes like Zibasi and Imperius are stronger than tribes like Chinchi and Hudrik because their techs allow them to upgrade their capital and get a workshop right away. The economic advantage of these T0 tribes gives them an edge for the entire game. To counteract this massive advantage, the weaker non-T0 tribes now have increased starting star counts. Chinchi, Hoodrik, Quetzali, Yadak, and Luxidoor all start with 7 stars, and Umaji now starts with 6. Vengir, Imo, the T0 tribes, and the special tribes still start with 5 stars. So how do these beta changes impact different tribes? Elyrion has less potential for early polytar rushes and more of a focus on economy with sanctuaries. Chinchi will become giant factories thanks to mining into smithery, followed by markets for income. Vengir getting early mining with backwards tech research gives them a much better economy. Markets take that income to the next level. Although you may be tempted, do not open with roads as Yadak. Open with warriors into org, then use roads later after you've built up your economy. In this beta, Imo is the best tribe in the game. Imo can still get the Altar of Peace early with meditation, plus starting with philosophy is a huge buff thanks to lowered tech costs over the entire game. What do you think about these tribe changes? Let us know in the comments. Polaris got a handful of changes in this beta too. Glide only gives +1 movement on ice instead of double movement, making units on ice have something more like a shaman boost or the aquarium bubble instead of moving on roads. Skate also only gives +1 movement. This mostly affects battle sleds, which can now only move 3 tiles on ice instead of 4. However, it isn't all bad for battle sleds. It used to be that battle sleds and moonies could not move more than 1 when starting on a land tile unless they were on a city or road. In this beta, a battle sled can get the full 3 movement when starting from a land tile. Ice fortresses now have escape, allowing them to retreat after attacking. They've also gained the static trait, making them unavailable to become veterans. Ice archers now have the attack value of 1, the same as Faichi, while still being able to freeze units. However, frozen units now become unfrozen after being attacked. You need a lot more archers to tackle opponent giants now. How's this going to impact Polaris? Polaris is still very strong, especially on archipelago maps. But now will take more planning to kill giants since they will unfreeze after being attacked. Ice archers and ice fortresses will be more useful with these beta changes. Saving the most anticipated for last, our beloved bugs received a much-awaited overhaul. There is a lot going on with Cymanti. Remember, we'll put all these details in the description. First on the list of Cymanti changes is the poison buff. Poison now slows units, reducing their movement by 1 to a minimum of 1. So riders and juggernauts go down to 1, scouts, rammers, and knights go down to 2. Gone are the days of precision strikes against Ketons with riders and roads. Dumux and Centipedes both got buffs because units with Explode can attack and explode on the same turn for a devastating 1-2 combo punch. Fungi got a nerf. The first population comes on the turn after paying for the fungus. So you get nothing on the turn you upgrade the spores, so invest wisely. Additionally, enemy units can step on a fungi to decrease its level by 1, removing a population and preventing it from growing until the unit moves off. Hexapods also got nerfed. Their attack went from 3 to 2.5. Practically, this means they can no longer one-shot riders or archers without being boosted, and they cannot one-shot warriors or protected archers or riders even when boosted. It also means that attacking into a defense-boosted warrior now kills the hexapod. There are several substantial naval changes to Cymanti. Algae is now considered a tile feature like ice or roads, but algae is not an improvement. A naval or flying unit can destroy algae while on that tile. The important part is that algae no longer slows naval units, and mycelium and other upgrades like fungi can be placed on it. Also, algae no longer provide a population. However, algae spawn with a fruit when bought directly or generated by a living island, or with spores on top if created by an explosion or a poison unit kill. Algae has also been moved from hydrology to fishing, giving Cymanti easier access to bridge opportunities. Reichi no longer explode. This ability was moved to the new Boomchi. However, they got the crawl ability, allowing them to be trained on inland cities and move slowly, one per tile, when not in water. Crawl works like skate on a battle sled, so it disables other abilities like dash when on land. Boomchi is a new unit. It cannot attack because it has a range of 0, but it carries the explosive power of the old Reichi in a separate package. They're the same price as regular algae, making them an easy way to create a bridge. You can pick them up in sailing. The living island is another new unit. This big beluga with a passing resemblance to our dearly departed Navalons costs a hefty 20 stars and acts a bit like a juggernaut. It stomps with a massive 4 attack, does splash damage, and creates algae with a fruit on any tile it moves to. Pick up this powerhouse in navigation. Lastly, Clathras work different in beta. They cost 5 stars, down from 8. Also, you can build Clathras on land or algae, and it scales based on the number of adjacent fungi, not algae. So how's this going to impact Cymanti? First, we'll see less early hexapod rush because boosted hexapods can no longer one-shot warriors. Centipedes will come slower, but if you can pull off a semi-early centipede, you can still wreak havoc. Cymanti economy can't hold a candle to tribes with markets, so they'll want to pressure opponents early to prevent them getting trade. Water fights will mostly be focused on algae bridges for land units, with Reichi being used for forward strikes. Some say these Cymanti nerfs are deserved, but others think they've taken too much of a hit to be very viable. It certainly seems like Cymanti's dryland domination days are over unless more changes are made. Tell us what you think of these changes to Cymanti in the comments. Want to try it out? As before, all these changes are a work in progress, and the devs want players to test and give feedback. It's very likely we'll see more changes based on player comments before these new features get added to the game. For now, the Cymanti Rework beta is only available for testing in the Steam version of the game. To join the beta, first go to the Battle of Polytopia on Steam. See the Steam link in the description. Next, right-click on the game in the Library tab and go to Properties. Select the Beta section and input the code polytopiabalance, all one word. It may take a few moments to load. You know it works when you see that thing that says balance test in brackets. To give feedback to Mijuan and the devs on this new beta, head to the official Polytopia Discord server. A link to the official Polytopia server is also in the description. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to get more pro Polytopia content. Join our Discord. Come play Polytopia with us. A link to the Discord server is in the description. Take care. See you on the next one.